All right, this geometry, we're actually going to go through and figure out the triangle interior angle sum theorem and corollaries. Whatever that word is right there. Yeah, I'm sorry, words are not my thing. I'm more a man of action. So let's go through and actually do this. So everyone's got rulers. All right. So everyone's got rulers right now, so let's go through and actually follow the instructions of what we have here. Okay, all right. Mind if I finish? Can I continue here? All right. So, I know. Please let me have my onion back just in case I have to throw it at her again. Thank you. All right. Use your ruler. Draw parallel lines through A of the triangle and through BC. So if it's parallel, that means they have to be going in the same direction, right? So I'm going to extend this line right here. And parallel. So now do your best to draw a parallel line for this one here. Now, from what we learned yesterday, what's the symbol for parallel? No, that's perpendicular. Two lines. Okay, for it to be parallel, so the symbol for parallel. But how do I mark parallel on my thing?
Oh, two arrows.
Arrows, not two, just at least one, right? So I would have an arrow. So I'm going to go an arrow like this. This symbolizes that is parallel, and I'm going to do one right here. So all of them that have one arrow like this will be parallel to each other. If it was two arrows, then all the ones with two arrows would be parallel to each other. So I have those. All right, my next thing says, using a ruler, make the transversal AB and AC longer. Okay. There we go. Okay, look for angle. It says look for angle pair relationship between the parallel lines and the transversal. Discuss with your group. So now I'm going to go over this with you to explain the certain things that we have. So I'm going to add a couple things. Okay, so if these are parallel lines, this is my transversal here. Okay, this is my transversal here. Okay. I'm going to have a couple things out of this. Like with this one right here, I'm going to have this is my transversal for this. So a couple things I can go through and do. So this angle and this one over here, this outside of Y, what types of angles are they? Are they between my parallel lines? Say yes. Yes. Okay, so they're between the parallel lines. So what is their relationship if they're between those parallel lines? Excellent. Alternate interior angles. Now, we know that alternate interior angles are what? Are they congruent or supplementary? They are going to be congruent. They're congruent, not supplementary, okay? So this one and this one are alternate interior and they're supplementary. So if this gives me a value of Z, that gives me a value of Z. What's this value up here?
Z.
It's also Z, isn't it? So that angle right there is going to be Z. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so now let's do the same thing on the other side of the triangle over here with this. So right here, again, we have alternate interior angles, right?
Yeah.
So if we have alternate interior angles on both of those right there, so if this is X, then this one up here is X, very good. And the alternate interior angles are congruent. So this one is single marks. This one is a double and a double. There we go. So those ones right there are going to be congruent to each other. Now, we know this line is a straight line, right? Okay, a straight line adds up to how much?
180.
180, very good. That's going to add up to 180. So now because of what I did over here, I know that all three of these together have to add up to
180.
180, very good. So it would be angle X plus angle Y plus angle Z equals 180 degrees, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so there's a couple other things that we can figure out because of that. So because of what we have right there, it's kind of like what we have down here. So the triangle interior angle sum theorem, which we have for this, I will. That all three of these together, X, Y, and Z, are all on the inside, aren't they? So since they're all on the inside, they all have to add up to 180, and that's what this comes from. We use my alternate interior angles to go up and use corresponding, or not, I'm sorry, alternate interior angles to find congruent angles from here and here, and here and here. So I know that all three of these end up becoming a straight line, and that straight line has to add up to 180. So all three angles inside of a triangle add up to 180. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is, if I'm going to have something on the outside, okay, so right here, so if two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another triangle, then the third are going to be congruent. Okay, so these are things that we can get just from using this. So the next one is the acute angles of a right triangle are complementary. Okay. The measure of each angle in equal angular triangle is 60. We've already done this one. That one's in our handy dandy. A triangle can have most one right or one obtuse. We talked about that when we were doing our vocabulary notes, our handy dandy notes, right? Okay, so now let's look at this information right here. Triangle DEF is a right triangle. What would I do to find angle D?
Add angle F plus angle E.
Equals 180, right? So I'm going to do it two different ways. So I know that 90 plus 58 plus angle D equals 180. Because we know that all three inside that triangle have to add up to 180, right? So I'm going to do this by combining like terms. So add those together, I get 148 plus angle D equals 180. What has to go next?
Subtract 148.
Yes, very good. Subtract 148 from both sides. So angle D. So 180 minus 148. You guys got calculators for this, right?
32.
I heard it.
32.
32. That one's going to be 32. Okay, so now I'm going to do this again, but this time I'm going to use right here. Acute angles of a right triangle are complementary. What does complementary mean?
Makes up. No.
Complementary means 90 degrees, right? So if it's a right triangle, that means the other two together have to only add up to 90, right?
Yes.
So it's doing the exact same thing. So now it's going to be angle D plus 58 equals 90. So I'm using this information here. I'm solving it the same way, but instead of doing all three angles, I have two of them. Subtract 58. So angle D is 32 degrees. So either way I work it, I'm still going to come out to be the same thing. Now the next one is one that you're going to see on the test. So I want to make sure you guys actually understand this piece right here. Triangle KLM. So I'm going to draw a triangle. Okay, it's a right triangle. So K, L, M. And K is congruent to L. Ah, dang it. L has to be over here. K has to be over here. They kind of got me on that one because...
Where's the M?
Ah! That one's supposed to be M. Sorry. I know, man. I'm horrible at this. I know. Seriously. Whoever put me in charge here made a serious mistake. Alright, so we have K, L, M, where K and L are going to be congruent to each other. And M has to be my right angle because I can't have two right angles in a triangle, right? Okay, can't have two of them. So do I know what they are? Say no. I do not know what they are. Okay, do I know their value is what I'm trying to say. I do not know their value. So I'm going to put a variable. What variable should I know? I'm going to put an X right here. But if K is congruent to L, like it says right here, if K is congruent to L, what am I going to put down here for L?
X.
There we go. So I'm trying to give you a hint. I want you guys to cheat, and I'm telling you the answer beforehand. So please pay attention on this. Okay? So right here, I have X and X. So now let's do our math for this. If I'm going to do it, let's do all three of them together. So I would say that all three angles, so it's going to be 90 plus X plus X. I got that because this is unknown and they're both the same, right? Okay? Equals 180. If I'm going to combine like terms there, what am I going to do? Nope, not yet. How many X's do I have?
2.
2. So it's going to be 90 plus 2X equals 180. Subtract 90 from both sides. So 2X is 90, right? Because I subtract 90 from both sides. So now it's going to be 2X equals 90. Divide both sides by 2. X is 45. So I know that each one of those, so angle K is 45 degrees.
And then angle L.
And angle L is also 45 degrees. But do I have to label angle L?
No.
No, because it's only asking for angle K, right? Alright, so pretty simple, right? It just talks about trying to solve for the different angles using the information that we already know. And let's take a look at what we're going to do. So this is page, that was what, 73?
23.
And this one's 72?
Yep.
Alright, so 72 right here. So we're going to go through and figure out what we need. Now for this problem right here, this is angle side angle. Just look at the given information right here. If it's angle side angle, what piece is missing? An angle, because I need to have angle side angle, and I only have an angle and a side, right? Now, where does the angle have to be in this triangle right here?
On angle C or angle F.
It has to be C, right? On this triangle, it has to be C,
Right.
because it's angle side angle. So I'm going to put a double mark. What about in this triangle over here? It's going to be angle F for it to be angle side angle. So, what do I need to know? I need to know that angle C is congruent to angle F, and for it to be angle side angle. Okay, you guys are going to go through, do the rest of these. Okay, and down here, now, use your checklist for these ones right here. When you have your checklist for the two-column proof, the first thing, you have to look for parallel lines. The first checklist is parallel lines. Do we have parallel lines on these? Say no.
No.
These are not parallel, are they? What's the next thing on the checklist? Shared side? Or is it an X? X. Do any of these three right here have an X? No, but this one does.
13.
Yeah, 13 has an X, so I'm gonna use that there. Now, what do all these here have? Shared side, don't they? So there's going to be reflexive that I have to mark. Okay? So please make sure, and you're trying to prove that the two triangles are congruent. Alright, questions, concerns, complaints? Okay, so if you missed my entire class because you're at the dean's office, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.